I can't do it.
Okay.
We'll do it live.
Okay. No.
We'll do it live. Fuck it. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live.
Right.
Fucking thing sucks.
In 5, 4, 3.
Hello, everybody. Hi, Tawny C. Thank you so much for stopping by. And hello, AZ. Hi, Soil Watch. Hi, Seashore Mary. Hi, The Everyday Therapist. And hello, Frank Davis. Welcome. All right, guys. So today we are going to talk about a deluge of topics because, man, I have found just a mountain of information, and there's really no way that we're going to get through all of it today. Hi, Nemesis and Hades. Hello. So I'm going to go ahead and run the intro. That way we can just start digging in because, I mean, we've got a lot of stuff to get through. We're not going to do it today, but I did find those Canadian court records. And I also found a outline of the files that were withheld from me in Canada. So at least now we know what we're missing, and I have a good feeling as to why. So I will be right back. And hello, Meatball and Gina G. Don't forget, we're literally out here fighting demons, y'all. And hello, Zaralath Immortal, and hello, Petite Penguin, and hello, Peyton. Thank you so much. I'm glad that you're here. And hi, Carl Hassel, and hello, Annie Kurtz. Okay, so yeah, I found the Canadian court records, guys, and I'm just going to let you know right now because obviously it's in Canada, so there's like the French and the English. I am going to be blocking out the French part. That way, when we read it, I'm not, getting all mumble jumbled with it. But I'm just going to show you a little highlight today from them. I was losing my mind when I found them. I'm not going to lie. I was really, really excited. But first, I want to show something in particular that Echo Cat had found. And this is something that we've touched on previously. I don't want to spend too much time on it. However, Robert de Grimston's current wife, Faye, Echo Cat had been doing some digging into that side of the family, and I am going to show you guys and posit the question or theory, I suppose, in regards to the process incorporating themselves, obviously, through Wandering Bishop, Tommy Jude Baumler Jr., Guy Bannister, Jim Garrison's JFK investigation, right? But also what Leland Cole said about them going back. Remember their incorporation documents that they have to meet in New Orleans from all four corners of the Americas if any of the founders are to pass away, right? I want to ask what your guys' thoughts are in regards to them having a certain level of protection. Now, one of these slides isn't that great. It was more so verifying something from another book because, people like to trash certain authors and say that they're just feeding into the satanic panic. But this is simply, some of them are sure, but I don't think that all of them are because some of this stuff I have been able to verify. But let's go ahead and just get a quick reminder of Robert de Grimston's current wife. So that is Faye. So over here, you can see Faye Collins de Grimston, right? So that's fine. And over here, this was a little excerpt. I believe this was the young guy that goes on William Ramsey's show and talks about the Four Pi cult a lot. He had referenced this book to me, and this was discussing how Robert de Grimston's wife was an attorney. So I think that it's interesting because I was able to verify that, right? Because there they are. And over here is her Justia page. And again, like I said, this isn't very clean because it's not really my point of contention. Now, right here, this is Faye's sister, Gaynell, or Janelle. I don't know how it's pronounced, so I apologize. But right here, this photo below, this is what Echo Cat had sent me. So this is from the Times-Picayune, and this is June 25th, 1970. The police-affiliated ladies at the Fontainebleau, I think that says Motor Hotel? Motor? Yeah. Okay. So police-affiliated ladies, right? That's kind of interesting. So right here, there she is. So she was the president of the police-affiliated ladies, or PALs. Okay, now, why do I think that this is relevant? Because obviously her husband was a detective. He was also the first vice president of the Crescent City Lodge Number 2 Fraternal Order of Police. Okay. Do you guys think that this would offer a certain level of protection to the process? Oh, and here's another family member, George Patrick Hand Jr., who was the assistant United States attorney for the Eastern District of Louisiana. Yeah? Do you think that that might come in handy in regards to some of the things that I do believe that they were doing? I think so. And isn't it fascinating that just like process folks do, filing libel suits, $1 million. So they sued this, what was this right here? A $1.25 million libel suit against the West Bank Guide and others was filed Friday in civil district court by George Patrick Hand Jr. and his family. The family allegedly was libeled in a December 15th, 1971 full-page advertisement. It's really honestly ridiculous. They wanted each person to be paid at a minimum almost, except for a couple of the folks at the bottom, $100,000 each. And in total, they only got $8,750. Okay, so I think that that's very fascinating. Now, whoops, let me get out of this. Sorry, that's not what I want to show you guys yet. Hold, please. Uh-oh, is my computer frozen? Sorry about that. So, that's just food for thought, okay, in regards to all of this tomfoolery. Because obviously, yeah, I think that this stuff is relevant. If other people don't, that's fine. I'm not telling anybody what to think. However, as a reminder, and why I think that this is really important and shows, because I still have to go back and do a bigger history of the family, because it would appear that the Hand family in particular that Gaynell or Janelle married into, that they were a pretty powerful family in New Orleans. Maybe old money, I'm not entirely sure. However, in regards to having a U.S. district attorney and, these high-ranking police officers who are very well respected within the community, don't you think that that is pretty relevant in regards to what one of many outreach, quote-unquote, programs that the process had at that time particularly, whoops, geez, I got butterfingers like a mofo. Right here, the House of the Dove. We talked about this previously, where 2 teenage women were found, I would say, assassinated, right? On the Mississippi River Bachur in East Jefferson, right? That's Robert de Grimston's brother in that photo, Reverend Simon Moore. I think that that is extremely relevant to the things that they were doing. But this is just my opinion. I think that there's a lot more that has to be gleaned, and some individuals have given me a bit of grief in the past in regards to, whether I'm good at the Wayback or not. Well, I've decided to take some time while I haven't been feeling good enough to stream to get good at the Wayback. And I still have a long way to go, but it's pretty insane the things that I've found, because I have found, and I'm working on converting them so I can show you guys all of them. There is a massive stash of Foundation Faith of God pamphlets online, a massive stash. And it's very fascinating for those of you that are familiar with the Franklin scandal. I have found the Process Church of the Final Judgment working with one of the boys' town homes in New Orleans. So I think that that's really interesting, especially considering the timeline. Now, some of this stuff is me just kind of trying to catch up on some things that I haven't been able to show you guys yet, just because I've been trying to compile all of this. Because for those that are new here, I have hundreds of newspaper clippings. Some of them are duplicates. Some of them, are from the same day, from the same newspaper, but it's to try and highlight every single little difference that I have. Some of these articles are just to show you guys new stuff that I've found that I haven't had time to show you guys yet. Because as far as the great gods of philanthropy, no. They were doing nothing philanthropic. Now, they can pretend that they were. They'll say that they were. Or if you ask somebody like Lucy and Greaves, Dougie from the Satanic Temple, he'll say that running a soup kitchen or something of that nature is completely irrelevant. But when you actually really look at the timeline of the process, this is a majority of their work. So it seems very interesting to me that this is something that they would want to leave out. But let me just grab a couple more of these so I can show you guys, because like I said, we're not going to really be focusing on one topic too much or another. This is not in a specific sort of, order as far as the time. I want to show you guys the club that I found, because it's a club. Their coffee houses operated as clubs. Just like eventually I'm going to show you guys, we're going to talk about just New Orleans. We're going to talk about Carrie Thornley, Barbara Reed, and the Quorum Club. Because what Barbara Reed was doing with the Quorum Club, because Barbara Reed was, neck deep or ass deep, whatever they said in the Garrison file with the process. The Quorum Club was called the Quorum Coffee House, but it was really a club where they were trafficking drugs, right? So this really shouldn't surprise anybody as far as the process, but let me move one more thing. I apologize. I really have not been feeling good lately, and I'm just trying to get my life together, y'all. That's all I'm trying to do. Okay, so let's get this. Oh, and also for those that are not on Twitter, I want to show you guys the alien stuff that I found, because I don't think that I've shown it here yet, but I'm not entirely sure. So we're going to look at this really weird magazine that I found. It's called the Esoteric Coordinating News about the process. Let's see what they have to say. Let me get this pulled up, and here we go. So right here, October 1st, 1972, Volume 2, Number 3, the Esoteric Coordinating News. It says each month reporting on the various organizations in the New Orleans area. This month reporting on the Process Church of the Final Judgment. In the decade of the 60s, Robert de Grimston, with a group of businessmen, lay psychologists, that's interesting, lawyers, that's interesting, interested friends, formed a private, nonpartisan club to observe and analyze the impact of the rapid deterioration of an old socio-political boundaries upon the consciousness of mankind. Based on the studies of compulsive behavior and what causes motivate man in general, de Grimston found what, to him, were truths relevant and fresh enough to support a new conceptual religious sect. Thus, the Process Church of the Final Judgment was born in England. There are now churches in Miami, Boston, Chicago, Toronto, as well as here in New Orleans and in Europe. The process is organized into a hierarchy with the ranks from the top reading as masters, superiors, prophets, messengers, both inner processians and outer process, disciples, initiates, acolytes, and lay brethren. The New Orleans chapter, recently visited at 627 Ursuline Street, appears well organized and functioning in a manner beneficent to the society. The church runs a no-strings-attached free store and kitchen open to the public and serving about 300 people Monday through Saturday. Personal contact service is given by members and officers alike to the Veterans Methadone Clinic, Charity Mental Ward, McDonough Experimental School, various orphanages, and senior citizen homes on a regular schedule. The acolytes and lay members, typically searching for self-realization, were quite friendly and openly interested in anything anyone has to say that would hasten their enlightenment. However, the process apparently does not support or encourage use of artificial stimulants, i.e., drugs, alcoholic beverages. Father Lucius, the High Master, was not present the night I visited. A lovely young blonde woman called Mother Diane kept the evening moving from ESP lecture to psychometry experiment to coffee in the patio to a final free-swinging discussion initiated by a trio of visiting women libbers. Sister Meredith, a Bostonian with the New Orleans chapter for about 2 years, talked with me over coffee. She briefly defined the symbols and abstract terms and clarified some general information obtained from other sources. The purpose of the organization's existence seems to be like so many others, man's awakening to consciousness. The stimulation used to bring this about is also familiar: recognition of the God self through acceptance of the Christ within, and the eventual conquering of ego. What seems to repel the establishment who have come in contact with the processians apparently lies in the physical symbols representative of the order: the black clothing, Phantom of the Opera capes lined in red silk, the goat's head lapel buttons, and the latest, a square cross with dragon-like serpent rampant on the vertical bar. Why the process choose these badly connotated images for public display, perhaps only de Grimston and a few of the top echelon know or understand. Once past the outer symbols, names like Satan and Christ, Lucifer and Jehovah deserve deeper scrutiny. It was explained to me thusly: the Christ soul and Satan ego are at war within the being man. This antagonism has spread outward until it is reflected in all of man's world as the conflict of the opposites: love, hate, pride, humility, pain, pleasure, prejudice, acceptance, and infinitum. This is the world so imaged and programmed by man. The end of the world will be brought about not by overcoming evil with good, but by reconciling Satan with Christ as admonished by Jesus in the Bible. Love your enemies, or translated, make peace within yourself with all your inner beings. Lucifer and Jehovah, intellect and emotion, have been recognized by both science and metascience as factions constantly striving to control each other. And ultimate control of both by the Christ-Satan conscious man results in a state of perfection, or an achieving of heaven on earth. Like any organization, the process can be compared to an iceberg. That's an understatement. Only a small, very small percentage of information about the group containing any real depth of truth is visible to the uninitiate. What information I got was palatable and innocuously similar to any other esoteric sect. The people I came in contact with were socially acceptable. The church itself is a quiet, peaceful, well-renovated sanctuary for the lonely. The other submerged portion of the process, which undoubtedly contains the real nitty-gritty, the how-tos and whys, requires a peculiar dedication to uncover. My first impression and last set of vibes came to me from a magnificent, huge white Belgian shepherd dubbed Apple Tree. Whether the church's familiar or guardian angel, I could not determine. I left with the feeling that any group he took up with in the long run couldn't be all wrong. And then down here, this gives the address, the phone number, and the dates of all of their events. So I think that that is really interesting. I hope that you guys enjoyed that. I know that it's a little bit weird, but that's the esoteric news, and I never really get into the spoopy stuff. You know what I mean? So I really wanted to see what they had to say, and I found it interesting. Now I'm going to show you guys a couple of magazine or newspaper clippings that I found in the Wayback Machine, because they have a couple new pictures that I haven't seen, and I don't think we're going to read the entire article just because, it's kind of a repetition and snooze fest, but I love showing you guys this new stuff, and it's been a hot minute. So right here, this is Satan believed to be scapegoat. So this is from January 19th, 1973 in the Charlatan. Very appropriate publication for this to be in. And right there, this is a processian. It says it's a guy. I don't really know. I can't tell which member that is. They have an interesting haircut. And this says, that they're from the process. They've been in Canada for over 2 years now, doing social work in Toronto, and they support the church by donating on the streets and selling magazines. And there is Robert de Grimston, and they state here that they run a coffee house and a free kitchen. They are active in prison visiting and organizing visits to old people and those in mental institutions. So again, I find this very, very interesting, but here it's basically the exact same stuff. The reconciliation of opposites. Bleh. Okay, so, and then right here, greetings from UT. So this one is the Varsity Supplement from November 8th, 1971. And this is just a real banging headline for me. I love it. So Jehovah, Lucifer, and Satan, the terrible trinity of the final judgment. I really love this. But right here, I had never seen this photo before, and this is talking about their location on Yonge Street or Young Street. I don't know how to pronounce it. Someone can correct me. But obviously, this is where they are doing their government-funded research to study the feelings of the youth within the porno district, right? Because we've talked about this before. And I have some very, very strong feelings about this. A lot of people are probably familiar with the photo in the bottom right. That is a pretty popular photo. And it says that the Toronto chapter is run by about 25 key persons and headed by 34-year-old Father Malachi or Michael McCormick. And it gives the exact same breakdown as far as their hierarchy, how they are funded by grifting off of the street as they do, and selling their propaganda. So that's it. Young. Thank you so much, Mode 85 Young. I knew I was like, I feel like it's Young. Maybe I should say it's Young. I don't really know. Thank you. Okay, so Young Street. And when we brush on the stuff going on in Canada with the LIP grant, obviously not going to get too far into it, but again, that is the porno district at that time. And once because I want to try to get through those court records as soon as possible, guys. Then we're going to be talking about that book that I posted about the shoe shine boy. We're going to be talking about that because I do think that it's relevant because, there's a lot of information in there about the children of God. And I know that some people think I'm just out here blaming everything on the process. But, the process was linked up with the children of God. I've shown that from their Visions of the Millennium magazine after the New York investigation, when it came out what the children of God were doing, right? Okay, so let's go ahead and let's continue, because guess what? The process was running day cruises for the geriatrics. Isn't that so thoughtful, right? Now, I included this one over here from the Sarasota Herald Tribune, February 10th, 1973, because this was an article that I hadn't seen before. Right? So I was excited. I wanted to show you guys. So Sister Cloris and Sister Joan, they're two young sisters planning a church here. Okay, whatever you say. But right here, this is from February 24th, 1973. Elderly enjoy cruise even on a cool day. Everybody enjoys a day on a boat, even if it's chilly. The humanitarian efforts of the process, a new religious movement that seeks to bring people together through friendship to all, seemed foiled when the day they scheduled to boat some of the county's elderly around on turned up cool. But the passengers just slipped on overcoats, not wanting to miss the free cruise on the yacht We Care, loaned for the occasion by the Jefferson National Bank of Miami Beach, and everyone enjoyed it, even the process minister in his short sleeves. The Process Church is located at 1600 Biscayne Boulevard. Dude is still like straight up that goth drip don't sleep. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just completely ridiculous to me. I'm sorry. I think it's ridiculous that they are running a day cruise. I think that is so stupid. And hopefully those old people came back. That's all I have to say about that. So over here on the left from the Poughkeepsie Journal, December 16th, 1972. So this is where the process is doing their little whatever, getting settled up in New York. I mean, they were in New York before this, you know what I mean? But right here it says there's going to be a dialogue with special guest Father Christian, leader of the New Process Church. You see how they have different names? This is literally another name that they run under, the New Process Church. And it says that it is a small denomination begun by young people as an attempt to return to the New Testament idea of the church. The group has former traditional Christians, former Jews, and some Buddhists as members. The group has been effective in work with disturbed children and in ministries to addicts and the elderly. I really just wish that the processians and process supporters would want to talk about this stuff more. I think it's real weird that they don't. And over here, again, a new article. This is the Plain Dealer, Saturday, June 9th, 1973. Sister Medea and Brother Nicholas of the Process Church chat with George Jehelica, I think, at the Prospect Nursing Home. So here they are again in a nursing home, and this is just kind of giving the exact same breakdown of everything. It does give a little bit of a background as far as, you know, these two members. He's from Seattle and studied at the University of Paris. Sister Medea was an employment counselor in Boston. Okay, right? Everything is just all above board, right? Here's another new article that I found. So free food, no sermons, New Pittsburgh Courier, May 26, 1973. And here they are just giving out free meals, right? They're such good, wholesome people, right? That's what they're doing. But it says that they started this project in particular 2 years ago on West Madison Avenue, or Skid Row. Okay, so I will be coming back to this because I don't know who Brother Bernard Locke is, but he is the main cook for the program. And then we have Father Barnabas discussing this. And over here, this is just thus far, the earliest proof that I have been able to find in regards to Jonathan DePire specifically being in New York, as far as any sort of official event, anything of that nature. Obviously, with the files from Ed Sanders' archive, the recruitment paperwork, you know, could he have been there? Sure. But here again, Father Christian is head of the Boston chapter, and this is again discussing this meeting that they are having at that church in Poughkeepsie. And here, again, new articles that I found, the St. Petersburg Independent, and I think that the one on the left is from the Village Voice. I will have to go back and grab that. I apologize. I don't know who Brother Ian is. This fellow right here. Don't know who he is. I am very interested. And we all know Sister Joan. If you've been here a while, she's one of the ones that we were sitting there with two photos side by side trying to figure out who she was. So, you know, this is when they're doing their foundation, right? Their foundation. And over here, so this in particular, not so much worried about the article on the left. This is their coffee house, Jay's Place. So the bottom one right here, February 20th, 1976, Jay's Place Coffee House. I don't know who Energy Patrol is, or Dean Mulcahy, or Fred Anderson Sextet. No clue. However, over here, we're not going to read this whole thing, but clubs serve spiritual refreshments. From the Chicago Tribune, September 13th, 1975. Right here. Live entertainment also is offered at Jay's Place, a nightclub and restaurant at 1529 North Wells Street, sponsored by the 9-year-old Foundation Church. Opened in April, Jay's Place offers live entertainment, including a Friday night creative jazz workshop, a restaurant with sandwiches, pastries, and soft drinks, and a place to come and relax and learn more about the Foundation Church, says Brother Nariah, a church spokesman. The club is open every day for lunch, dinner, and evening entertainment. So, there is your proof, because that is enough proof for me for the time being, that the process was absolutely running a club. And again, when we come back and we talk about New Orleans, we talk about Barbara Reed, the Quorum Club, we're going to get a bit more into that. Before I move forward, I am going to look at the chat. That way I am not way behind. Let me see if this thing is going to work for me. And thank you guys for being patient. Hello, Jay Snyder, and hi, Jack, and hello, Attila Karksai. I hope I said that right. And hello, John Carew, and hello, Gigi Abby Lynn, and Kevin O'Brien. Let me see who else. Hi, Mandy Diff, and hello, Joshua Schwab Mangold. I hope I said that right. And hello, Don Lambert, and hello, Mr. Alex 789. All right, cool. So, sorry I'm not reading every single thing, guys. I just want to get through everything as much as I can because, like I said, don't feel too great. So, let's go ahead and continue. This is more so because I hadn't shown it yet, and I said that I was going to. This is about the garden that they it's a cafe club. It was more so a joke about the gardener, and I'm not talking about him today, but I said I was going to show you guys, and this is relevant to showing their philanthropic side, right? So right here, whoops. The Garden opens in the French Quarter. This is September 15th, 1976. The Garden, the new cafe at the Foundation Faith, 627 Ursulines in the French Quarter, has announced its grand opening the week of September 19th through the 25th. Now, again, the Foundation Faith, that's one of their names. Down here, Father John and Father Raphael of the Foundation in Faith. Because yes, these people they get away with calling themselves 20 different things. But this is when they're really deep in their laying of the hands type garbage, right? And here, the Spiritual Technology Conference. Ooh, technological advances in pyramidology, Kirlian photography, telekinesis, multi-wave oscillators, biofeedback, orgonomy, psychotronics, holography, force field generators, and various other shades of wizardry. And apparently, Max Toth and a couple other shady folks were there. And see, look, a celebration of healing, spiritual healer. Okay, whatever you say. Now, obviously, their tomfoolery about their real great gods, because their great gods are actually aliens, right? Because, these people are an alien cult. They're a death cult, but they're also an alien cult. But, at least I found them, besides that weird thing that we just read, but in specific, the Foundation Faith treat the topic of UFOs. What are UFOs? Will be the topic of a panel discussion at the Foundation Faith, 627 Ursulines. The panelists will include Dr. Ted Peters, Religion Department, Loyola, Dr. Robert Parrington, Physics Department, Tulane, Dr. Edward Boudreau, Chemistry Department, UNO, and Michael Delham and Robert Romero, both from the Mutual UFO Network of Lafayette. The special guest will be Charles Hickson, who achieved national prominence in 1973 when he claimed to have had the experience of being picked up by a UFO in Pascagoula, Mississippi. Hickson will tell his story, and the audience will have a chance to hear the panelists' response and to comment and ask questions themselves. And I'm not into aliens. You guys know that. However, This is a big story in UFO lore. I am not pretending to be an expert at all. So don't come at me, don't at me, don't care. But, these two individuals, from what I understand, I think they were out fishing or something. And apparently they got picked up. Right? But obviously, having professionals from Berkeley show up and get involved in validating some of these things, I think is super sus, super sus. And, this is apparently their interpretation of what the thing looked like. Real scary, right? It looks like it has lobster hands. For the people who have ever been to Carneytown, Florida, there's the lobster people in Carneytown. So I don't know. It could have been that. Now, this in particular, because the reason why I use Andrea True more, because I haven't talked about it in a really long time. However, for the people that don't know, November 16th, 1977, Andrea True, more. She belonged to the Foundation Faith in New York City. So she was a processian, right? So that's why I have her here. But in particular, in New York, they had a theater, the Foundation Theater. So they also had that, okay? They also had a theater. So they had a lot of other stuff going on, guys. They had a lot of other stuff going on. And down here, just as a reminder, because I don't think that I have come on here and talked about my Helter Skelter coast to coast. I am going to come on here and talk about it eventually, the stuff with the JDL. But, even though the Processians identify themselves as Jewish, they claim that they were attacked by the JDL, right? Because that ties into the stuff with David Berkowitz and the Son of Sam. In my personal opinion, I think that it all ties in, because I think that blaming him for those fires is stupid. It's stupid. But we're not going to talk about that today, because I could sit here and ramble. So let me see how many more slides I have here. Yeah, we'll come back to the Dale Luna stuff. Okay. One last thing, just to touch on like the susness and like the spoopy stuff, because I don't think that I've shown it here. For the people that are familiar with, the Mossad spoon bender, Uri Geller, well, guess what? He was hanging out with the process too, right? I've already shown the process doing, what was that? Wasn't it with Lilith before her and Michael Aquino got married? I think it was. Or maybe, no, it was Ingo Swann. Lilith and Ingo Swann were doing something. It wasn't the process. My bad. All right, but right here. So this is February 15th, 1978. Uri Geller, the Israeli psychic who has baffled scientists and fascinated audiences around the world, the former Israeli paratrooper, has demonstrated the ability to bend metal while stroking it, starts clocks, and, while isolated in a steel chamber, produces remarkable facsimiles of drawings selected by Stanford Research Institute scientist. Oh, and look, again, there's Max Toth, right? We just saw him in something else. But right here, are you in need of healing, physical, emotional, or financial? Join in song and have your prayers answered during the Foundation Faith's healing service by Cosmic Productions. So that's that. And over here in 1978, they were having a spiritual festival, healing, psychic, and spiritual readings. So that's all the really shady stuff that they were doing. I don't really know what to tell people, but I needed to catch people up on that stuff. Okay, so Everyday Therapist, your comment just caught my eye. I keep wondering if I went to the Process Coffee House in Cambridge, Massachusetts back in the early 1970s. I'm very curious as well. I'm very interested if you did too. I don't think I have a photo. Let me check and see, because I know that I was sent a photo of the inside of one of the coffee houses. Let me see if it's that one. And if it is, I will absolutely show it next time, because I'm very curious as well. Now, let me grab, you know what? We're just going to go at random here. So let me go to the oldest one. Let me see. let's go ahead and take a peek at some of the Foundation Faith of God magazines that I have found. Magazines, pamphlets, whatever you want to call them, I don't really care. Ed only had one of them, which is unfortunate, but it was a different time, right? And obviously, you know, Ed went through a lot. Ed went through a lot with these people, and I was given a very interesting screenshot, but I think I'm going to save it for another day because if you guys remember the gang stalking campaign by some of the founders of the process that happened not that long ago, the same individual, I think Edward Mason, he was sitting there trashing Ed in regards to some of his files that someone had shared in the Process Alpha group, right? That's the private group on Facebook with William Sims Brainbridge. I think I don't know if Fred Gianelli's still in there. Regardless, for the Processians that are watching, just so you guys know, the university is the one who categorized Ed's files. So that postcard from Ann Arbor, Michigan, where someone had written to Ed letting him know that they had seen Processians in Ann Arbor, Michigan, that wasn't Ed's file that he titled The Process Being in Michigan. That was the university. And here's how I know that. Because when I was there, because I went twice and I was there for like a week each time, so they got to know who I was, they asked me if I could help them recategorize and kind of dwindle down the amount of duplicate like names for the files because they had no idea what they were dealing with. So you might want to brush up on how those things work before you guys run your mouth about Ed because it's getting really old. But like I said, I'll save those screenshots for another day because I'm not in the mood today. So let's go ahead and let's dig in. This is, I think, June 1980. You guys are going to see the date. And let's go. And you guys just have no idea how excited I was. But this is a huge pain in the butt. This is a huge pain in the butt. Annie Kurtz, I believe it was the very early 1970s. Let me get through this. And if you guys don't mind, I'll look on my phone at the screenshot and see because I don't have the file on here. So right here. And again, this is just them. These older circulars from the foundation are pretty basic, but they're also very interesting. So this is giving healing testimonies from New York, from Atlanta. Now, again, I would love for you guys to consider the timeline, right? Consider the timeline here with all of this weird faith healing. Who else was doing faith healing? Not too much earlier than this, because this isn't the earliest time that they're doing it. The People's Temple, right? The People's Temple. And right here in Canada, their prison ministry. So right here, the director of the Canadian headquarters, Sister Ione Lorraine, that is Francis Batista's wife. That's actually her real name. And moving on, the Foundation perspective. And again, seems kind of relevant about the People's Temple. Increasingly, the question of survival is in the news. Fallout shelters are making a comeback and dried foods are being stockpiled by the ton all across North America. Some people are getting rich, teaching others how to use weapons to defend themselves in what they see as the inevitable riots and chaos to come. Others are banding together in small groups and taking to the wilderness to begin self-sufficient communities separate from a world they perceive as falling apart. Are such people just so many oddballs and pessimists, or are they listening to a prophetic voice that is telling them to prepare? This month for Foundation Perspective, we interviewed 3 Foundation teachers on the question of survival: Celeste Cole, Stephen Hirano, and Michael Mountain. Now, quite frankly, because I think that these people's takes are a bit of a bastardization on religion in general, we're really not going to sit here and read this, but they really are feeding into what was very popular at the time. And you guys know I have very strong feelings about the People's Temple, right? But remember, in the Son of Sam, The People versus David Berkowitz, I'm sorry, Wendy, Celeste, Cole, Wendy Ann Peach, Wendy Ann Cole, Fripp, right? Remember, they left out Fripp. So actually, her title was Senior Advisor and Associate Director of Foundation National Ministries. Okay, so that's her actual title. I am considering creating my own website with my own archive and correcting a lot of this garbage that these people have put out here. But right here, Reverend Michael Mountain, director of the Jewish Crusade for Jesus and host of the Michael Mountain Show on KXEG Radio in Phoenix. I want to hear this radio show. I've never heard of this before. It certainly has not come up in any of my searches, so I am very, very, very curious. And right here, so we have Dallas PTL Club welcomes the Crusade of Innocence. This is another one of their outreach programs. I really, really hate the name. But PTL for Praise the Lord Club is hosted by founder and director Jim Baker and reaches an audience of millions around the world. The Crusade of Innocence is rapidly becoming known across America for its outstanding work in bringing the healing love of Jesus Christ to terminally ill children, their parents, and families. Oh, why would people let Processians? Why? Why would they do that? Why would they do that? Anyways, moving on. So, around the foundation. So, here we have Cleveland. Okay, we have Sharon St. Joan. Over here, the retreats and seminars, the gifts of healing, the gifts of the Holy Spirit, the path of life, the angel speak workshops, the spiritual communication and survival, seminars of the Holy Spirit, prayer and the teaching of Jesus Christ, and walking with the angels, a workshop. And here we have Dallas. Now, I know that I think it was Leash had reached out to me about Dallas before. The address is correct. The address is 100% correct, this Bowser Street address, but I can't find any freaking records. I'm going to keep hunting because I know that Dallas is important, but I just have not been able to find anything yet. And apparently, May 20th is Foundation Day, the birthday of the Foundation Faith of God, for those who didn't know. And the healing ministry of the Conquering King, right here. That was, I think, one of the first random ministries of theirs that I found. I remember being very tickled about that. And for those of you that did not know, the process was very popular in Ghana. So I think that that's extremely dark. I'm not going to really go into why right now. And here they give out their thanks. And right, for this free booklet from the Foundation Faith of God, The Coming Kingdom. And obviously this scan in, there's who was receiving it. The Ministry of Miracles, that was Estelle Lennon or Estelle Myers. Remember, she was she was a marketing specialist, I believe. That was her title for Rupert Murdoch. Right? Yeah, that was when she joined. So that is a direct tie from Rupert Murdoch to the process. And here we have, look at all of that. Canadian headquarters, Atlanta Foundation, Northeastern Foundation. These are their official names. Las Vegas Foundation, Denver. Who else? Dallas, Jewish Crusade for Jesus, Divine Grace Ministries, Healing Ministry of the Conquering King, Ministry of the Angels of Christ, Christian Mental Health Healing Ministry, Crusade of Innocence, Kingdom Crusade, Faith Center, Living Christ Ministries, Jewish Christian Outreach, New Covenant Crusade, Spirit of Renewal, Spiritual Life Crusade, Faith Center, and Ministry of Miracles. Tell me again that it's open and shut case about the process. Tell me. I would also like to ask why, people that are allegedly saying that they've been witnessing my downfall and it's been spectacular, people who have been researching this stuff for years, why didn't you guys find this? I'm not giving myself a pat on the back. I'm asking a real serious question for people that seem to have an unwarranted sense of self-confidence. But, this is just me being a little bit petty. So let's go ahead and let's move on to another one because these are long. I would like to show one at least that has some photos. That way you guys can see. Obviously, the quality is crappy. Let me wet my whistle. Is this Jim Baker and Tammy Faye? Is that the same one? Is that who they're talking about? I didn't know if that was a typo. Oh no. I don't want to do that, guys. I don't want to do that. No, I'm not ready. Mm-mm. No, no. Okay, I gotta be like straight up with you guys. Have you guys seen that show with ooh, dang it. What is it? Eastbound and Down. What is that actor's name? Why can't I think of it? But it's the show where they're playing a family that's in the revival circuit. Like they're big TV grifters. That's it oh, it's Jim and Tammy Faye. Yeah, and like Oral Roberts. Yeah. That's what I imagine them doing, and some of these photos back me up. I just imagine them being like, "I heal you in the name of Jesus." It's really ridiculous. I just man, the grift is so strong with these people. And it's such a big part of their history. And I'm just like, why is this not included in any of the documentaries? Why? We know why. We know why. Because they want people to think that they were, gone. But I just. The truth is always stranger than fiction, isn't it? I mean, it really is. I've been having a lot of fun, but I just imagine like these Processians like getting a sort of like southern twang with their British accent. I have no idea what that would sound like. And, they're paying somebody in the audience to like cough up a little bit of chicken guts and say that it was a tumor. Like that's literally what I think it is. Danny McBride, thank you. Something else is here. That's it. I can't remember the name of the show though. I think it's on HBO. It's Danny McBride, one of the guys from that comedy show on Comedy Central. It's the 3 dudes or 4 dudes. Wow, I literally like have dementia. I literally have dementia. Uno momento. I can't get my thoughts together. Whatever. Anyways, if you guys have seen the show, you'll know what I'm talking about. Like the tan faded sort of like aviators, right? And the really fancy suits, and they're just, I heal you in the name of Jesus. Now give me $1,000. That's what I imagine the process is doing. It's really quite silly, and I really didn't think that it was going to go this way, but whatever. Let's continue. So right here, this is Outreach, September of 1980. So I think it's kind of interesting that they are, giving some new names here: elect ministers, witnesses, aides, disciples. I think that that's very fascinating. And discussing all of the, needs, information that's going on. Thank you. The gemstones. That's it. Thank you guys so much. Thank you. I was like, why can't I remember it? I was going to say the mighty, mighty boss stones, which is really stupid. Anyways, I'm just going to move on. So right here, so the House of the Dove Crisis Shelter. Oh, we just looked at that, right? We just looked at that where Robert de Grimston's brother is running it. Yeah. Okay. And here we go. In Washington, angels are guiding the way at the Northeastern Foundation. The Washington-based Center for the Spirit of Renewal and the Ministry of the Angels of Christ. Holy crap. What do they offer? Angel listenings, healing oils, courses about angels, and of course, prayers. I bet. And Reverend Magdalene St. Clair and Enoch Garrett of the Angel Ministry. Enoch Garrett is the one that is with the Mennonites. He's the one with the Mennonites for a really long time. They are who is running that. But right here, in regards to New Orleans, we see Reverend Simon Moore. Again, that is Robert de Grimston's younger brother. And down here, Atlanta, doing Ghana outreach, witnesses, healing, and miracles. I don't like any of this. Makes me very uncomfortable. I don't think that they should be around these people. And they are also in the federal penitentiary in Atlanta and women's halfway houses, which obviously is very, very sus to me. And here, the foundation perspective. So, if you guys remember, me and Echo Cat did a really deep dive on Diana Asher. Yes, that is the Asher family of Beatles fame. So, there she is. Over here, we have in New York, Reverend St. Joan addresses new song Gospel Festival. I obviously have to look this up, but this is in Westchester County. Westchester County, New York. Isn't that fascinating? Except it gets even more fascinating because we have Reverend St. Joan, the director of the Healing Ministry of the Conquering King, based at Kairos. The foundation's beautiful retreat center in northern Westchester has a very powerful radio and television ministry. Oh, and then there's Gabrielle Lawrence, right? Because everything is going down in Westchester County, right? That's where all the meatballs are and all the tomfoolery is going down. They're definitely not doing any satanic rituals in Untermeyer Park. And here we have Reverend Eli Alexander, who attended Harvard University, and he's been active in the foundation ministry throughout the US and Canada. He's the administrative assistant to the director of the Dallas Foundation. And let's go ahead and move on. Right here, the Lord's creatures. Oh. So now we're getting into animals already, right? We're getting into animals already. So we're going to see a lot more of that as we move through these magazines, because eventually someday, yeah, we're going to get through all of them on here. Absolutely. But apparently in Dallas, a flying frog was sighted. I don't have anything to say about that, guys. Whether it's a joke or not, I don't really care. And moving on, special thanks this month to the Hacienda Hotel in Las Vegas. But here's my favorite. To the JCs in Dallas who have extended their help and support to Reverend Lucia Smith and the Crusade of Innocence. Why do I think that that's weird? Because John Wayne Gacy was a member of the JCs. I understand that that was in Chicago, but who else was in Texas, right? Who else was a part of that network? John Norman, right? John Norman's network. So I reckon that is... Oh, wait, no, I found the Boys Town thing. There we go. Over here real quick, though. Jesus loves you and Satan hates you. I would like to know what that says. Because wasn't their whole thing like the reconciliation of opposites, as Doug likes to say? Anyways, so right here. New Orleans, Gil and Laura Severson, who met each other through the Foundation's Divine Grace Ministries in New Orleans and were recently married there, have drawn upon the inspiration of the House of Dove Crisis Shelter and become house parents for a New Orleans branch of Father Flanagan's Boys Town Homes. Through Laura and Gil, the Foundation is providing the young people in their charge with a positive experience of God. We applaud the Seversons' commitment and pray for great blessings in their marriage and their calling. And in Irvine, the Atlanta Foundation is pleased to announce the formation of its newest Circle of Power prayer group outreach in Irvine. That is a big thing that they end up getting into, this Circle of Power prayer group. We will be coming back to that. You will see it cited a lot. And here we have their million different ministries, right? And that is all we have for that one. So I understand that these things may not be too exciting. However, I have never seen these things before. You guys know that I'm a real big nerd about this stuff. And so I have a feeling that a lot of other people haven't necessarily seen it either. I think we'll go through... Yeah, we'll end with this one as far as these magazines. Let's go ahead and do this one because I thought that this was pretty apropos per William Sims Bainbridge, right? Mr. Let's all live in a World of Warcraft simulation, and Marianne de Grimston's gonna come back in a digital Camelot, and so let's go ahead and look at this one because I do think that this is very relevant to his milieu of research. So, November 1980. Right here on the air, the electronic church. So, this has been called the age of the electronic church, and indeed, the Lord has blessed Foundation outreach ministers with a full and effective radio and television ministry across the country. They were on Maury Povich. I really would love to see that. I really, really, really want to see this Maury Povich episode. Please, for the love of everything holy, if anyone has seen this, let me know. And then down here, Religion in the News in Birmingham with Bill Bolin. I do not know who that is. And WXLO and WORAM Inner Dimensions. And then they had a regular weekly broadcast in San Diego, Boston, and New Orleans. And in Dallas on KLIF and KPLY. And they were getting another nationally syndicated TV feature. Where's the first one? Where's the first one? I would like to see this. Inquiring minds would like to know. And obviously, Estelle Lennon Myers, the Canadian headquarters, has enjoyed extensive media coverage. Yeah, well, we're going to make that a little bit weirder. And over here in Phoenix, Reverend Cyrus Daniel, aka Cyrus Mejia, who is at Best Friends right now. So they are running inspirational TV spots in Phoenix, Atlanta, Washington, D.C., and Dallas. The Foundation's commitment to spreading the message of Jesus Christ through the electronic church. Okay, whatever you guys say. And over here, this is just talking about their healing ministry, right? So I'm not going to sit here and read all of this crap. I'm going to move on. Reverend Jason Smith. I think I've seen one picture of him. Apparently, he was the director of the Dallas Foundation and director of Living Christ Ministries. There again, Cyrus Daniel, aka Cyrus Mejia. Over here, we have Toronto. The prison ministry expands their reach. Continuing, Mava Batista. Oh, there are so many Batistas, huh? It's also weird. Eventually, I will show you guys because it is Judah Nasser Batista. Seems that they were doing some wife swapping, and the birth records and marriage records may or may not confirm this. So we're going to be coming back to this because I found a very disturbing testimony from one of the children about sexual abuse from this group. Anyways, Denver, 3 Sundays of special conferences. So obviously, natural medicine, emphasizing the healing touch, but obviously, they're Scientologists, so they're going to be into vitamins too, right? That tracks with everything. Now, down here, this name right here, and I know it's really blurry, guys. I'm doing the best I can with pulling this stuff out of the archive. It's a real pain in the butt. However, Gleason. This is a name from Maury Terry's files that someone tried to cover up with a Post-it note, but I was able to pull it. So we'll be coming back and talking about the Gleasons as well because they went to Best Friends, and I would like to know why. That's so secretive. But down here, Dallas, a British broadcasting company, to cover the Crusade of Innocence. Mike Smith, no relation to Reverend Lucia Smith, is the producer of a BBC kids show called Conkers. Reverend Lucia is the director of the Crusade of Innocence and its very popular clown ministry. Clown ministry. So you get why I don't really make much of a delineation until proven otherwise about the JCs and Gacy and their clown ministry, because they had a clown ministry much earlier than this, specifically in Colorado. But now I also know that they had one in Dallas. So do we have a really weird thing with the JCs and clowns? Inquiring minds would like to know. However, Mr. Smith plans to cover Reverend Smith on her rounds to Dallas pediatric wards, disguised as Pansy the Clown, where she delights children suffering from chronic and terminal illnesses, severe burns, and accidents. I'm not going to read any more of that. Over here in New Orleans, Divine Grace Ministries teams up with Volunteers of America for the Halloween fundraiser. Remember, guys, we already talked about this. They picked a very dark reference for this. Maybe I'll find it and I'll pull it back up again because we already covered this. But down here, talking about it was manned by friendly monsters who came compliments of the juvenile home for boys in trouble. Okay, I bet that they did. And then over here, oh, this was just a continuance of thanks. I wanted to make sure I wasn't missing the location. So down here in Washington, the Ministry of the Angels of Christ. Apparently they cured someone of her agoraphobia. God bless. And down here in Phoenix, the Jewish Crusade for Jesus, or JCJ, right? Because they love playing that game. They love playing that game, right? But they have a lot of interesting individuals. Oh, look. For my folks that have been on my Twitter, when I talked about Lytrell in particular, and Barry DeSanko, the DeSankos, right? And someone was kind enough to point out that Mitch Warbell III also was a proponent or exponent of Lytrell. Well, look, they also were talking about this in Phoenix, so it wasn't just one event in New Orleans. And over here, angels, the guardian angels, right? How lovely. How lovely of them. Aren't they thoughtful? Aren't they thoughtful? That Rocky Mountain High, baby. All right, whatever you say. So apparently they were baptizing people in really cold water. Doesn't sound particularly smart. However, here is all of their newsletters. The Atlanta Foundation, Healing Ministry of the Conquering King, Canadian Headquarters, the Jewish Crusade for Jesus, and the Denver Foundation. Because these are all literally separate organizations. They're all separate. And right here, again, here's the list. Now you see right there, it's kind of hard to read. That's Dr. J. Gordon Melton. Yeah. So he's the one that has his whole archive on lockdown, which is super fun and thoughtful. Thanks for nothing. So that's why this is taking me so long to put together, because I have to do a screen grab of every single thing. I have to convert it to a PDF. I have to OCR it, and then I have to compress the file. So it is time consuming. I'm not complaining. I'm just letting you guys know why it's taking me so long. Now, let me see if there is anything else, because I think I'm kind of done with these for the moment. And again, we have months. We have months of stuff to come back to, because since I have gotten into the archive or Wayback Machine, one of David Bowie's, I think, guitarist joined the process, was in the process version. Yeah, he was in the process version. There is a woman who is a famous athlete, and her name that she goes by is her process name. There are so many books out here, so much information. My mind is literally blown at the things that are out here. So, I mean, we've got a long way to go. I thought that maybe we were kind of honing it in on something, but just the process itself, not even talking about the Son of Sam, not even talking about, Manson in particular. It's just the process and their tentacles, because it's stupid. It's stupid. Now, we're going to look at, because I don't think I have the pages from the book ready, but I will show you pictures of her before I end. Let's pull up the outline of the files that someone made a special phone call to put the kibosh on my files. For the people that are former Jehovah's Witnesses who have reached out to me and inquired about this topic, I apologize. I am going to show you guys, however, what is in the file that was not given to me. That way you guys can see it for yourself, because I had suspected when I found this archive, after I basically, I might as well have just given them a blood sample at this point, because I gave them a lot of information, and I'm really not happy that they quit responding. But that was when that gang stalking thing happened. So I am pretty sure that they're related, and I don't really care what anybody thinks about it. However, I had thought that the individual that had compiled this archive was a Processian, and this outline does confirm it. And then we're just going to look at two small tidbits of the court records, because I still have to go in and I have to block out the French translation, because we will literally be here for 6 months if we're going through that stuff. And I know that you guys don't want that. And quite frankly, I don't want it either. So let's start with the university archive outline of what I will not see. So this is a guide to the York University Archives, Terence William Barker. Okay. Terence William Barker was a teacher and minister in the Jehovah's Witnesses Church in Toronto from 62 to 72, and later joined the Process Church of the Final Judgment. At Magdalen College, Oxford University, he conducted studies on apocalyptic sects and Gnosticism. Like William Sims Bainbridge, the Process Church was founded in 1963 as a prophetic sect under the leadership of Robert de Grimston and was virtually defunct by 1978. Okay. Don't you love that movement of the timeline? However, scope and content, and I'm not going to sit here and read every single little part. However, correspondence and papers, 53 to 75, material related to the assemblies of the Jehovah's Witnesses from 61 to 72, correspondence, reports, and newspaper clippings concerning the issue of blood transfusions, the dissociation of Barker from the witnesses, and records of his ministry with the Watchtower magazine. There is also material on the Process Church of the Final Judgment, which consists of correspondence between Barker and other members, records of the Toronto Chapter Steering Committee, contact list of Ontario members and followers, copies of articles for publication in their journal, and a typewritten copy of an unpublished article by Barker, Is the Process Church of the Final Judgment Christian? A Possible Approach, 1971. Speeches of Barker's consist of talk on religious topics delivered while he was engaged in the Jehovah's Witnesses program, printed material consisting of copies of the Yearbook of Jehovah's Witnesses, several editions of New World Translation of the Holy Scriptures, and several witness tracts. There are also copies of Awake, including bound volumes, and copies of Informant, Kingdom Ministry, and The Watchtower, including bound copies. In addition, there are reports of the Assembly of Jehovah's Witnesses, as well as songbooks, pamphlets, and related material. For the Process Church of the Final Judgment, there are copies of Foundation and pamphlets, including the newsletter, The Processians. Manuscripts consist of 2 photocopied, typewritten, unpublished manuscripts by Barker, The Time of the End, On the Trail of the Final Age, Victorian to Aquarian, which contains handwritten corrections, and The King of the North and the King of the South, Apocalypticism and International Politics, 1972 to 1975. So that's that. Now, right here, and again, the line is a delineation. So, on the left, I want to quote from another affidavit here. I, Ray Therian of the Municipality of Metropolitan Toronto, hereby make oath, and says as follows. This was sworn on December 13, 1972, before the same commissioner, that he was a member of the Process Church until May of 1972 in the capacity of a disciple. And he says that during his membership in the Process Church, he witnessed the following: that the Processian Coffee House is a drug addict haven and hangout. In spite of the fact that the process claims to help people that are on drugs, there is no evidence in existence that any help is given, or that in fact anything is done for the misguided people who come there for help. This is evidenced by my own case as I went to the process to get off drugs. As a consequence of participating in the process and their claim that they help people on drugs, I spent all the time that I was in association with the group under the influence of speed, acid, smoke, hash, and anything else I could get my hands on. The staff at the coffee house was well aware of the fact that I was doing drugs, and yet they did not do or were not capable of doing anything for me other than to provide a place for me to get more drugs through new connections at the coffee house. Did any of that sort of circumstance come to the witness's attention? And obviously we'll be coming back to this next page. That at the beginning of March 1972, two female members of the process and one male member of the process, the first known as Ellie, an ex-splasher or prostitute for the motorcycle club, the Satan's Choice, the second known as Rev, a girl from Ottawa, Ontario, also ex-Satan's Choice club member, and the third, the male member known as Brian, who used to be head cook for the process. Is this the same Brian that we saw in that article from Chicago Skid Row earlier? Maybe. Came into 101 Gloucester Street, went into the washroom in the hall, and shot Speed. At this time, they had tracks or needle marks from constant hypodermic needle injections up and down their arms. The reason these addicts came into the premises at 101 Gloucester Street was that the process orders state that no one is allowed to take drugs on the premises. Thus, the members of the process are frequently known to go off the process premises and then take drugs. After the drugs are taken, the members then return to their activities at the coffee house or wherever they happen to be working. I know that Ellie and Rev take Speed frequently. That a processian known as Simpleton, a cook, did acid in the month of July 1972. That Anne, a processian also known as Fat Anne, smokes grass or marijuana regularly. And that David, a processian, a tall Caucasian, sells a vast array of drugs, including grass, hashish, speed, junk, cheap shit, heroin mixed with gas, strychnine, etc., to any woman on the condition that he get to have sexual intercourse with them. He is totally unconcerned about his actions as long as he procures sex and money. So, that's just two small paragraphs from those court records. We will be coming back to them. However, we have discussed that briefly before in regards to those really stupid newspaper articles saying that they were being investigated for drug trafficking and prostitution, right? And I would like people to consider, because I think the way that we're going to do this is we're also going to look at what Scientology was being investigated for, because they were being investigated for the same thing. They were trying to sue the police in the UK. But it's interesting because, as some of you may know, and I'm not super familiar with it, this is just my baseline knowledge, is that Canada also operates under the rule of the Crown. So they were also trying to sue the police in Canada, right? But for harm, grievous bodily harm, and drug trafficking. So I don't buy that all of this is just a stupid conspiracy theory. I don't buy that all of this is a lie. I don't buy that they are a religious, they're just being religiously persecuted, whatever. I understand that my words are not coming out today very well, and I apologize. However, I don't buy it, especially after seeing those court records and some of the other things that I've found, because I'm going to show you guys. I'm kind of wrapping up here now. I found another book written by another processian who I have barely identified. Her name is Karen Manners Smith. I believe she was recruited in Canada. She also wrote a book, and she gives a lot of really fantastic detail, as does the athlete that I mentioned, that her first name is Zoe, and I know that she chose that name. They did like a processian religious name-changing ceremony the day before she left. But they talk about like the thrift shop, the Disciple thrift shop, and the coffee houses and all of that. So we're going to be able to glean some insight that I've never seen before, that I've never heard anybody talk about, just because I think that this is really pivotal to process history. And again, for the people that want to say that like they're witnessing my downfall and it's been spectacular, I would ask why you guys have been doing this for so long and you guys haven't found any of this. Sounds like you're salty, and that's not really my problem. Now, I am going to attempt to do another stream here soon. I have a lot of stuff going on and I don't feel good. I am going to let you guys know, just because people have asked. I do have the buy me a coffee. I don't like asking people for stuff, and I never will. This isn't me asking. I'm just letting people know. The link tree is in my bio, I guess, my bio on YouTube. It's in the description there. It's in there in the link tree. But because people have been requesting it, I am going to set up some sort of like merch store. I'm going to start out really small. I feel kind of weird doing it. I would like it to be less of my face than other stuff. So I'm trying to make some funny stuff that hopefully you guys will enjoy. But people have been asking me and, you know, saying that they're going to make their own. And I feel really weird about people walking around with my face on a shirt. That just kind of bothers me. So I'm just letting you guys know that that is coming. I will let you guys know once I have it up and running. It'll probably be at least another week or two. And like I said, you know, I'm not going to ask you guys for anything. It's just people keep asking me. So the information is there. You're never going to hear it from me. And I am going to start working on some type of website where I can correct some of these things and people have a reference point, because I understand that my videos are very long. I have developed a bit of an extensive archive here, but I mean, I'm not going to change the way that I do it. I'm just not. I don't care. I don't care if it bothers people. I like the way that I do things. It is a bit scattered. I miss stuff and I wish that I could, you know, go back and edit it, but I don't want to do that either. I just want to take you guys along for the ride, but I feel like some of the things that we've well established and proven or disproven, I want to be able to put these things up for people, and especially in regards to the information about or misinformation about the Son of Sam and David Berkowitz. That's you know, kind of become a pet project of mine, where I would like to go through the People versus David Berkowitz and correct a lot of those things, because there is a lot of stuff about the process on there and a lot of it is inaccurate, unfortunately. But I have a feeling that these things are done on purpose, you know, to kind of pee in the information pool. And, you know, I'm going to let the gardener have his fake victory lap. This is all strategic, just so you guys know. I'm working on some interesting stuff for that whole topic. But I'm going to let Manny do his fake victory lap and think that he got one off on me. Manny, might I offer a pair of pennies that I doubt that you want to hear? Especially since I would imagine that when you were a cult theorist, or Maury head, or moron, or Marista, or conspiratard, as you like to say, I would imagine that I've probably embarrassed you quite badly, considering the fact that I've been doing this for a short amount of time. And again, I'm not asking for a pat on the back, but I have kind of ran in circles around you about the process. Sorry about your luck. It doesn't look good if you're going on a Netflix show and you're out here making veiled or direct threats to an elderly man that's in prison. Okay? Because don't forget, you were encouraging someone to share my nudes. Don't think that these things cannot be forwarded to the production company. It's not a threat. This is public information. I've had all of this stuff up because if people have been paying attention, obviously, some of the other drama has come back up, as I predicted that it would. And eventually, for those who want to participate and those who do not, I will be creating a poll. If you would like a documentary style breakdown of the hours and hours of voicemail and emails and text messages from one very lonely, sad, short, incompetent ZDT, or if you guys would like me and maybe Janae to do it live, because she's a savage. Reddit has already spoken. They want me in. Well, they want both. They want both. But eventually I will do a poll here. But within that, there is that time when Manny and ZDT were engaging and, thinking that that was funny. You really think that Netflix is going to look favorably upon that? I don't think so, bud. I don't think so. But like I said, the hoes mad. I mean, those guys, I got them off of Shein. They were like $4. It's not my design. I wish that it was. However, I know that that one's really important. That's going to be a sticker for sure. For sure. And I have a couple other ones that I'm working on. Some of them I think are going to make people mad, but some of them I think are funny. I want it to be funny. I want there to be things like little jokes that, have been made here along the way, things that people can laugh at, because I don't want it to be about me. I don't want it to be about me. This isn't about me. It's not. And I appreciate that people think that I should be compensated. Would that be nice? Sure, that would be great. Am I going to come on here and ask people? No, I'm not. It feels wrong. If people want to do it, thank you. And the people that have bought coffees, thank you. It means a lot. It helps me a lot. It really does. Even just any of it, it helps. But I would like to be able to offer people something tangible. And I feel like a silly sticker, maybe the same thing like on a shirt, Echo Cat recommended patches. I don't really know how I would do that, but I just want to offer people something that they can have because I feel weird. I'm never going to. I'm never going to ask people for money, and it still feels weird when people are kind enough to share it. But that is just a preview of things to come. And like I said, unfortunately, for the people that don't want to be around for it, that's completely fine. But I am going to be addressing this stuff with Tony because he talked about Janae today, and I'm not tolerating that. And I already gave him an opportunity to shut his mouth, and he just can't resist. So buckle up, because it just seems like the Processians and the ex-Scientologists all just want to come at me at the exact same time. But that's okay, because you're not going to throw me off of my research, and you're not going to throw me off of my game. I can assure you of that, guys. And one last thing, I promise, by this weekend, I will update the last video's links. I still have not put everything into the way back about Sirhan and Blavatsky and all of that. I promise I am going to update it. And the magazines from the Foundation Faith that I showed today, I will also upload those, and I will update this video. I am way behind, guys. Thank you so much for your patience. I really, really appreciate it. I'm going to get back on track. Just give me a little bit. Y'all stay safe, and I will talk to you guys very, very soon. Bye.